Super Bowl, for the first time in, I think, 4 years now, the Trump administration is making them take away "End Racism," which they had written in the end zone, right? And
why? It just seems silly. I mean,
to do it or not to do it?
Why get rid of it?
Oh, I could tell you why.
I know, but it's just like
because it was stupid to begin with.
Yeah, but
let me ask you, who is it for? And if you're a racist and you see "End Racism" in the end zone, you're going to stop being a racist?
The sentiment is basically like, don't be an asshole.
But I think it's an asshole to nag us during a football game about something that doesn't change anything or any. If I'm not a racist and I see it, it doesn't matter. And if I am a racist, it's going to make me more of a racist.
Like, I think if you write "don't be an asshole" in the end zone, everybody will agree with that.
The problem is, we all think the other guy's an asshole.
No one thinks.
I saw the Government Accounting Office, that's not the Trump administration, said in the last 20 years, I think it was something like 2.2.
It's 3 trillion.
Well, it was a little less than that, but in trillions of improper payments.
Yes.
This is trillions, not billions. What could we have done with that money? In 2023, it was 236 billion of improper payment. So it's not like this does not have to be done. They couldn't put dwarfs because this is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
These days, Bill Maher sounds less like a liberal talk show host and more like an unexpected Trump defender. Hard to believe? The same guy famous for roasting Republicans is now throwing sharper punches at the left. But here's the twist. He's not carrying water for Trump, he's torching the anti-Trump media for their non-stop obsession with tearing him down. While networks scramble to turn every headline into a scandal, Maher calmly points out the hysteria for what it is: manufactured outrage disguised as journalism. Does that make him a secret MAGA fan? Not necessarily. What it makes him is honest. Maher refuses to play by the media's script, calling out hypocrisy no matter which side it comes from. That independence is exactly why people across the spectrum are paying attention. He's not Team Red or Team Blue, he's Team Reality.
These college kids are doing that we're excusing because they don't know what they're talking about, as if a Yale education isn't better than whatever's happening for these tiki torch IT guys who are in Charlottesville.
Bill Maher is taking no prisoners. In a recent segment, he torched the left and the so-called woke media for their silence on escalating anti-Semitism on college campuses. While chants like "death to the Jews" at Yale haven't been verified, Maher pointed to real incidents elsewhere. At Northeastern University, a pro-Israel counter-protester shouted, "Kill the Jews," sparking chaos and mass arrests. In Dearborn, Michigan, demonstrators crossed another line with chants of "Death to America." Maher didn't just call this disturbing, he called it dangerous. He blasted elite schools like Harvard and UPenn for weak, half-hearted responses, accusing them of giving cover to useful idiots who echo extremist rhetoric. His message was crystal clear: ignoring hate speech isn't tolerance, it's complicity. At a time when partisan blinders blur moral clarity, Maher is demanding the left confront bigotry head-on, even when it comes from within their own ranks.
Well, now that the campus protesters are finally packing up their tents and delousing their hair, it's time for the media to admit that they blew the whole thing way out of proportion. Because as always with media these days, they don't cover what's most important, just what's most fun to watch.
Bill Maher is locked, loaded, and ready to torch the legacy media, and he's not pulling punches. His critique? They've become professional panic merchants, addicted to hysteria. Take Trump's half-joking remark about running for a third term. Any rational observer would roll their eyes and move on. But not CNN or MSNBC. No, they light their hair on fire, declare democracy dead, and scream fascism before the joke's even finished. Suddenly Trump isn't just a sharp-tongued politician. He's the next Hitler, the end of the Republic, and the villain in every overhyped panel discussion for weeks. Meanwhile, the real issues, groceries, rent, jobs, and inflation, get buried under waves of fake outrage. And Maher? He's done with it. He's calling out the media's obsession with clickbait panic over substance, and he's about to roast their manufactured drama in a way only he can.
There are 15.2 million college students in the U.S., and 2,300 have been arrested. That's 1/67th of 1%, and half of the ones in New York weren't even students. But we were given the false impression that these protesters are the voice of their generation, having found a cause for which they were willing to go to the tents and to the barricades. Oh, please, these kids are more violent when their team wins a championship. A Harvard youth poll proved it. They asked people 18 to 29 what issues mattered most to them, and out of 16 choices, Palestine came in 15. The vast majority just want to do what they went to college for in the first place, to experiment with being a lesbian.
Bill Maher doesn't just stop at blasting the media. He backs it up with receipts. His targets? The usual suspects, CNN, MSNBC, and the entire outrage industrial complex. Case in point, their hysterical coverage of college campus protests over the Israel-Palestine conflict. If you believe the headlines, you'd think every student in America was out in the quad waving flags, chanting slogans, and pulling all-nighters over foreign policy. Maher calls BS. In reality, most students were stressing over midterms, student debt, and how to stretch their budget for rent and ramen. Just like most Americans, they care about real life, not performative politics. But the media can't resist the playbook. Take a loud minority, amplify it into a movement, then act shocked when the public tunes out. It's spectacle over substance, drama over data. And Maher? He's had enough. Watch how he torched Tara Palmieri when she tried peddling this woke spin on her show.
Super Bowl, there for the first time in I think 4 years now, the Trump administration is making them take away end racism, which they had written in the end zone, right? And when
Why? It just seems silly. I mean,
to do it or not to do it?
why get rid of it?
Oh, I could tell you why.
I know, but it's just like
Because it was stupid to begin with.
Yeah, but
Let me ask you, who's it for? And if you're a racist and you see end racism in the end zone, you're going to stop being a racist?
the sentiment is basically like, don't be an asshole.
But I think it's an asshole to nag us during a football game about something that doesn't change anything or any. If I'm not a racist and I see it, it doesn't matter. And if I am a racist, it's going to make me more of a racist.
Like, I think if you write, don't be an asshole in the end zone, everybody will agree with that.
The problem is, we all think the other guy's an asshole.
No one can.
But Maher doesn't just stop at torching the media's addiction to exaggeration. He rips into their non-stop promotion of woke nonsense too. And this time he's not pulling any punches. Maher openly mocks the hollow virtue signaling that's become the left's favorite pastime. And he does it live, right in front of their biggest cheerleaders. He calls out how these so-called progressive gestures are nothing but empty theater, designed to let elites pat themselves on the back while doing absolutely nothing to solve real problems. You could practically see the embarrassment dripping off Tara Palmieri's face when Maher shredded one of the wokest examples yet, the NFL's decision to paint "End Racism" in the end zone during the Super Bowl. Maher's point was brutal but true. Slapping slogans on the field doesn't magically cure racism. It's lazy, performative, and frankly insulting to anyone who actually wants real change. The crowd laughed, Palmieri squirmed, and Maher drove the point home. Symbolism without substance is just noise. And America's running out of patience with the noise.
I saw the government accounting office, that's not the Trump administration, said in the last 20 years, I think it was something like 2.2.
It's $3 trillion.
Well, it was a little less than that, but in trillions of improper payments.
Yes.
This is trillions, not billions. What could we have done with that money? In 2023, it was 236 billion of improper payment. So it's not like this does not have to be done.
But the media's sins don't end with woke pandering or blowing things wildly out of proportion. No, the rot goes deeper. They're also guilty of something far more dangerous, covering up blatant corruption under President Biden. Maher didn't flinch. He dragged it into the light, exposing what the legacy media has worked overtime to bury. He dropped a number so staggering it should have dominated headlines for weeks. $236 billion? Yes, billion, in improper payments under Biden's administration. That's not a clerical error. That's a mountain of taxpayer money misplaced, mismanaged, or straight up gone. And yet, silence. Crickets from MSNBC, CNN, and the rest of the alphabet soup networks. If Trump had so much as sneezed near a figure like that, the press would have launched a year-long spectacle. Dramatic music, countdown clocks, panels of experts, dissecting it 24/7. But when it's Biden? Suddenly the watchdogs turn into lapdogs. Questions vanish. Accountability evaporates. Ma isn't letting that slide. He's calling it what it is, journalistic malpractice. Because when the media stops being a watchdog and starts acting like a partisan PR firm, democracy doesn't just weaken, it rots from the inside. And what's worse, they don't stop at covering for corruption. They drag kids into their ridiculous woke theater, weaponizing them to push empty narratives. And Ma, well, he didn't hold back.
Inclusion becomes promotion. And contrary to current progressive dogma, children aren't miniature adults wise beyond their years. They're morons. They're gullible morons who'll believe anything and just want to please grown-ups. And they don't have any frame of reference. So they normalize whatever's happening. That's why endlessly talking about gender to 6-year-olds isn't just inappropriate. It's what the law would call entrapment, which means enticing people into doing something they wouldn't ordinarily do. For example, after 9/11, there were several cases of overzealous federal agents leading sad losers into terrorist plots, like the undercover FBI agent who got 7 out-of-work dudes in Liberty City, Florida, to sign on to a plot to bomb the Sears Tower in Chicago.
Children deserve space to be children. Time to grow, to stumble, to explore the world naturally before being weighed down by the toxic, divisive battles adults can barely navigate themselves. But the modern left, with its echo chamber in the woke media, refuses to allow that. Instead, they force-feed politics into every corner of childhood. Movies, cartoons, video games, even toys, nothing is safe. What used to be about imagination, fun, and creativity is now hijacked as a delivery system for ideology. It's not about letting kids dream, it's about planting flags in their young minds before they've even had a chance to think for themselves. And Bill Maher is calling it out. He's sounding the alarm on this calculated effort to strip children of their innocence under the shiny label of progress. Ma argues that real progress means protecting kids, not drafting them into culture wars they're far too young to understand. He's saying out loud what millions of parents are already thinking. Let kids be kids, and keep politics out of the sandbox.
They couldn't put dwarfs because this is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive. You'd think the most progressive thing would be get people jobs, and dwarfs want to work.
He's like a golden employment opportunity for dwarves.
There's not that many scripts that come down the pike.
No, there's 7 of them.
That has, and there's 7 dwarf jobs here. But because I think it was Peter Dinklage said this is, this is not right. This is demeaning. And they were like, what? We just want to work. We're dwarves. So, ho, ho, ho.
Yeah.
Bill Maher didn't stop at torching the media. He turned his flamethrower on woke Hollywood too. This time he ripped their latest stunt to shreds, refusing to cast actual dwarf actors in the upcoming Snow White remake, all because they didn't want to perpetuate outdated narratives. The irony? In their frantic rush to virtue signal, they ended up hurting the very community they claimed to be protecting. Ma laid it bare. Talented dwarf actors already face an uphill battle in an industry obsessed with 6-foot leading men. Instead of creating roles for them, Hollywood slammed the door shut. So rather than opportunity, they hand out unemployment, just to rack up a few meaningless brownie points with the woke mob. Ma called it what it is, insanity in a halo. The point couldn't be clearer. In trying to look righteous, Hollywood only manages to be cruel, hypocritical, and downright laughable. It's a theater of absurdity, and Ma is more than happy to rip the curtain down.
I'm not the leader of anything, except maybe a contingent of centrist-minded people who think there's got to be a better way of running this country than hating each other every minute.
So, thank you.
So meet up in person. Maybe it'll be different. Spoiler alert, it was. First good sign, before I left for the Capitol, I had my staff collect and print out this list of almost 60 different insulting epithets that the president has said about me. Things like stupid, dummy, lowlife dummy, sleazebag, sick, sad, stone cold crazy. Really a dumb guy, fired like a dog, his show is dead. is 60. I brought this to the White House because I wanted him to sign it, which he did.
So, believe it or not, Bill Maher eventually found himself walking the halls of the White House, not as a critic but as a guest, after openly defending some of President Trump's more common-sense approaches to governing. And just like that, the backlash from his liberal colleagues came in hot. But Ma being Ma couldn't care less. He's never been the type to march in lockstep with any political tribe, and he's not about to start now. Is he officially MAGA? Not a chance. Ma's far too independent for that kind of label. Still, when you look at his tone, his critiques, his unapologetic shots at the left, it's hard not to notice the shift. So what do you think? Has Bill Maher started drifting to the right, or is he just one of the last old-school liberals who hasn't lost his mind? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're ready to hear them. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.